In this video, I'm going to teach you how to prime your metabolism with more carbohydrates. So this process of metabolism manipulation called metabolic priming is what I currently specialize in and exactly what I read each and every single one of my clients through. But I want to show you guys at a higher level view what this kind of looks like step by step. So if you guys don't know me by now, my name's Adam Bunnell. I'm an online fat loss professional and I specialize in hormonal priming, body recomposition, higher level forms of nutrition. So I've worked with hundreds of men around the world, getting them to elite level physiques using metabolic priming. And today I want to run you through exactly how I do it and exactly what key factors I put in place in each and every single one of their programs. So when clients come to me, the first thing we have to do is find out exactly where their metabolism and current hormone levels are. And we do this by analyzing what they've already been doing. So metabolism in general is subject to what you've already been doing, right? It's subject to exactly what you've been eating, what you've been doing for work, how active you've been. And so the fact of the BMR in general is that it's not just one set number. You can't just go online and search what your BMR should be because it's constantly changing based upon other factors that you're actually putting yourself through, like getting into low amounts of calories when your metabolism starts to lower, or doing a lot of cardio where your cortisol is pretty high and your inflammation is extremely high. So it all is subject to really exactly what you've been doing. And so I'll run you through my client Mitch right here, who we've been working with for some time now, who has gotten extremely lean. And we're going to start from the beginning and see exactly where he was in his initial consultation that he actually came. So he was currently eating about 13 to 1,500 calories when he came to me. He mentioned that he had been eating around this for some time now, had been plateaued out, his sleep and energy was down, brain fog, and those are all really good factors that kind of dictate that your metabolism has slowed over time. And so we knew that right off the bat that he'd been eating a low amounts of calories, and we can kind of depict exactly where his metabolism would be just based upon factors like digestion, fatigue, energy levels, and he wants to get a six-pack, just like each and every single one of my clients do. They want to get to a next level physique. And so the plan for us at a higher level was slowly work him out of a very large deficit and implement a fat goal and a good protein goal. And then based on the formulas that we provide, start working carbohydrates back into his diet. Fix leptin and ghrelin, which are hunger hormones, and pair them with a strength training program so we can really optimize the way his body actually looks from a cognitive perspective. So on his start date, this is what he looked like on his start day at 1,500 calories, right? And so right off the bat, we knew we had to get him well out of this deficit that he's been in for some time. So the next thing we do with each and every single one of our clients, after we analyze their hormones and where their metabolism currently lies, we start to implement correct protein, carbs, and fats, macronutrients. So each macronutrient has a specific role that plays within your body hormonally. Like protein builds muscle, obviously, but it also has a higher thermic effect. So with our clients, we use a 1 to 1.2 gram of protein to actually have a higher thermic effect in their body. And then fat, for instance, regulates a lot of hormone levels, right? They regulate T3, T4, metabolism, thyroid, testosterone. And if you're over consuming on fat, you can get that kind of lethargic feeling. And if you're under consuming on fat, it can be a little bit detrimental to your hormones as well. So we get a key protein goal, we get a key fat goal, and then we backfill the rest with carbohydrates to give them enough carbohydrates to reduce a lot of that hunger and to improve how their body feels, like inflammation, adrenal fatigue, cortisol. That's what carbohydrates do. They reduce all of that. And then from a cognitive function, carbohydrates run your brain because your brain is run off glucose. And so the reason why we use carbohydrates with our clients to increase their metabolism is because there's a certain hormone in the thyroid called T3, and they've done many scientific studies about T3 and its close relation to actual carbohydrates. So as you start to decline in food, decline in carbohydrates, T3, the active thyroid hormone, also starts to lower as well. So with our clients, we optimize first their fat goal, and then we optimize their carbohydrates so that we can increase T3. So what this looks like from a more scientific perspective is we basically transition the body into what's called a carbohydrate metabolism state. We're optimizing the body for carbohydrates. And there's a bunch of people out there that preach keto, carnivore, and all these things, but that's a one-sided approach. Getting the correct amount of macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats will give you a better body composition. It'll get you to that next level physique. And so carbohydrates in general do get a bad rap in today's society, but it's because you don't know how much to eat, how much carbohydrates to eat, and that specifically is the problem. So basically, when we transition the body into a more carbohydrate metabolism state, we can optimize the body using carbohydrates correctly. Every study out there that you can go online and search recommends a well-balanced diet is the best for possible physique, management, health, all of that. So a well-balanced diet with carbohydrates. So we're going to kind of walk through week by week how we did this with Mitch right here, and we're going to kind of watch his body composition change over time. And so each week when my clients check in with me, I tweak their protein, carbs, and fats to best guide their body in the right direction hormonally with their metabolism, and kind of key points that we switch each and every single week to make them look next level. And so like within the first week, we started to add a little bit of protein, carbs, and fats within his diet. We actually started him off at 2,000 calories, which is 500 calories more than he was currently eating. So the biggest question I get is like, why can't I just start at my quote-unquote maintenance calories? Well, your maintenance calories is still subject to what you've already been eating. Imagine if you've been eating 1,500 calories and you go online and Google says that you should be eating 32 to maintain, and you start eating 32. Obviously, that's such a significant change that you're going to gain body fat. So what you do is you start somewhere similarly close to where you've already been eating and start to work up from there. And when you optimize the body and with the carbohydrate metabolism state, but also macronutrients, you can optimize the way someone looks. And so as we start them at 2,000 calories, you start to just raise the protein, carbs, and fats each week, and more specifically, the carbs, right? And so watch each week as he starts to increase carbohydrates, right? Each week we start to increase carbohydrates. He starts to get leaner. And over time, he's starting to not only grow, you can see how his back is starting to really pop, but he's also getting leaner because we are utilizing carbohydrates. So like over time, we are raising the carbohydrates to a point where we can gain leverage, right? And so what I mean by leverage is gaining leverage means that we get more carbohydrates, we get more food under our belt so we can later utilize to get even leaner. So with Mitch right here, we just started to raise him each week until he got to a point to where that his body was kind of optimized to the point where we were at a peak amount of carbohydrates that his body could handle. And there's a specific look that people get, and I'm going to show you that you can really tell when their body is like kind of at that peak form. So let's look at his starting weight real quick. He was at 197 when he started with us, but I want to take this from a higher level view of where we got him in kind of the starting point at the end of the metabolic priming phase, and then we'll kind of go into like what it looks like at the actual cut. And so Mitch started at 1,500 calories, right? 1,500 calories per day. This is what he looked like. This is him with 1,600 more calories per day, 425 grams of carbohydrates. So notice the changes. He not only got leaner, but his back got much bigger. His love handles started to subside substantially. And not only did we build good muscle, we're up 1,600 calories. But here's the crazy part. Look at his weight. He gained 1 pound. 1 pound through 1,600 more calories per day. So what we did was we optimized the body for carbohydrates. We raised carbohydrates very slowly, and we introduced the body into a more carbohydrate metabolism state, allowing him to eat 1,600 calories more and get leaner. And now we have so much leverage in the form of carbohydrates and food that we can start him into more of like a proper cutting phase. And so this is how you position and prime your metabolism for an actual cut to be able to sustain it long term. So let's go back and I'll show you this step by step how I took him through this actual cut. So here he was on his actual cut, and I want to show you the kind of key points that I kind of see when I'm like, okay, somebody's ready for an actual cut. Their metabolism's fully primed. We're kind of at the peak, right? So if you notice within his side shots right here, within just a week, you can kind of see him not only like gain a little bit of water retention, but even in his weight on this day, you've seen a slight little spike. So these are the key points that I look for with my clients when we're getting to the end of a metabolic priming phase. Typically, clients will get anywhere from 27 all the way up to 4,000 calories before we really hit that point. But once we hit that 2,700 calorie mark, this is the key indicator that I'm actually looking for that tells me we're at the top of what the metabolic priming phase should be. We're ingesting the most amount of carbohydrates that we can consume. And now that we see it and we kind of point it out, we put them back into like just a proper cutting phase. And so week by week, we did the exact same thing where we just lowered food, we added a little bit of cardio, and he started to just get leaner at 2,700 calories. Notice how much leaner he's starting to look already at 2,700 calories. And then we go through the next day, he started to see obliques pop out. We started to change and add certain things into his diet. We started to add food, steps, and just kind of chipping away at these calories, but keeping the food high because we raised the metabolism so high that we can use more food to get lean. We would add 3K steps. We would lower some food each week. And then he started to get back towards that 2,000 2,000 calorie mark. And so you can see he's getting leaner. We added food and gave him a refeed to not only help with keep maintaining metabolism, but keeping metabolic structure, and giving refeeds when his body is kind of looking a little bit maybe inflamed, when cortisol might be high, because we give the body carbohydrates to reduce a lot of that cortisol, or reduce a lot of that inflammation as well. And that's the purpose of refeeds. And then even on this day, we lowered the carbohydrates even more, right? And then look what he looks like on 2/13, just this week. We lowered that food. He looks absolutely shredded at 1,900 calories, 200 grams of protein, 175 carb, and 50 fat. So we're not at a low carb amount. We're at a recommended carbohydrate amount with a well-balanced diet. This right here is easy to maintain for Mitch because it's not like he's extremely starving. He's not like he's under 1,500 calories or that's unhealthy. He's gotten more carbohydrates to reduce that inflammation, optimize the way his body works, and he's getting good food in to make sure that he's not too hungry. And so even going back to like when we kind of pull up the higher level view of things, check what happens to his actual weight when he checks in. He dropped to 180 pounds within that cut. So keep in mind, he started at 1,500 calories. We got him to 3,100 calories with only gaining 1 pound. And then we lowered that back down, and he hit 180 pounds and got absolutely shredded without taking carbohydrates out of his diet. And so this is the progress from Mitch's transformation at 1,500 calories, at 425 grams of carbohydrates, and then at 175 grams of carbohydrates, absolutely shredded. And this is how you maintain it. And this is how you maintain a great physique, is you make sure to nurture your metabolism and make sure that we're not going too low on carbohydrates so we can support essential body functions. And even Mitch said, hell yeah, you have been a life changer for me. Would never thought I could get to see any abs in my life. This is the same process we use with each and every single one of our clients. We find where the current hormone levels lie. We find where their metabolism is. We optimize the metabolism. We set the structure, and then we shred body fat out into the cutting phase like just a normal cutting phase. But in the cutting phase, we also make sure each week as he checks in that his metabolism and hormone levels are in check. And that's how we don't see a decline in metabolism, how we keep his physique not only healthy, but lean. So running it back once again, he went from 197 to 198, eating 425 grams of carbohydrates and 1,600 more calories, back to 2,000 calories and at 180, almost 20 pounds down, only eating 2,000 calories, which isn't too low at all. But the problem is people don't know how to nurture their metabolism, where their current metabolism lies, and the most important thing, how much carbohydrates they should really eat within their diet. So if this sounds like you and you're somebody like Mitch who's been struggling to get lean, you're unhappy with the way you look, but you want a next level physique, something that you're actually proud of, to take the shirt off at the beach, take the shirt off this summer, show up to your wedding date looking the best you ever have, sign up for a time down below, because I will sit down and I will show you exactly where you're at, exactly where you're wanting to get, and I will fill in the gaps, because you're probably tracking food right now just perfectly. You know how to track, but that's the easy part. Knowing how much protein, carbs, and fats you need to eat, now that's the information that most people are missing. So if that sounds like you, don't wait on it. You've been waiting long enough, spinning your wheels for long enough. Sign up for a time, and I'll see you on the call.